So 80/20 is such an important concept, and making sure that you're in the right 80% low base building zone 2 stuff and 20% in the 4 or 5 harder than I can currently sustain zones, um, is really important. So go get a test done. Have your athletes or your patients get a test done so that they know their zones correctly. Getting that VO2 test done where they understand these are my precise zones, super important for being able to really progress well. Otherwise, if you're in the wrong zone, you may be trying to do the right type of training and you're just not. You're digging a bigger recovery hole than you can recover from typically. And that's why we see so much injury and fatigue and burnout with endurance athletes is they're typically overtraining for the base building phase of their training. And then they have less gas in the tank to really push as hard. And so we see plateaus, burnout, injury, things like that. And so super important to get accurate numbers and then follow the 80/20 principle really is, 80% base building zone 2 and 20% pushing harder than you can currently sustain so that we give our body the stimulus to improve that overload principle. And what they found is we only need to overload about 20% of the time for optimal injury free progress. You can make more progress more quickly at 50/50 instead of 80/20, but your likelihood of injury is pretty much imminent at that point at 50/50. And so you'll see if you look at elite athletes training plans, they'll be like 70/30 for a while, and this is periodization, 70/30 during a peak phase, and then the next week they may be 90/10, or the next, 2 weeks later or whatever will be 90/10, and then race week or things like that. So if they have a recovery week in between, or depending on the athlete and the race, sometimes they want to peak during race week so that they're like at top function. You run the risk of being a little depleted at that point in time. So it really just depends on the athlete and how your periodization plan looks. But um, that 80/20 training may look, you may be 95/5 the week after a big event. But when we look at kind of a training block as a whole, having that be around 80/20 is really ideal.